United Mine Workers, I've produced both guaranteed health care benefits and pension benefits from coal miners, and am delivering retraining dollars so they can get new jobs to be employed once again. That's how I use the clout I have to help Kentucky.
Senator, thank you. We're going to try to get an additional coal question in here before we're through, but funding for higher education has consistently been reduced. Here in Kentucky especially, it's placed a higher burden on students and their families, and currently the federal government owns 92% of all student loans. So with tuition increasing, student loan debt mounting, how can colleges make college more accessible and more affordable? We begin this time with Senator McConnell.
Yeah. Well, I started by creating a program at the University of Louisville for undergraduate scholars at no cost to the government. There are 40 best and brightest kids there at any given time, 10 freshmen, 10 sophomores, 10 juniors, 10 seniors. The goal is for them to get a Ivy League type education right here in Kentucky in the hopes that they'll stay here, and most of them have. Let's take the CARES Act, for example. Out of the CARES Act is almost $475 million for Kentucky education, K through 12, and colleges and universities. In addition to that, at UK, I've produced over $300 million for UK, $200 million for U of L, $75 million for Western Kentucky University. I've paid a lot of attention in trying to help Kentucky higher education. And at the other end of the scale, at Southeast Community and Technical College, I'm going to be down there tomorrow. They were literally about to go out of business, and I intervened with the Secretary of Education and literally saved them from going out of business.
Time. Lieutenant Colonel McGrath.
In the last 15 years, college debt has gone up about 540%. Here in Kentucky, we have some of the highest levels of college debt in the country. The first thing, and all of that happened, by the way, on his watch. The first thing I would do is hold Betsy DeVos accountable, because we have a program already in place to relieve people of their college debt, but 99% of the applicants are denied. So I would be jumping up and down in the Senate right now, finding out why is that? Why do we have a program where 99% of the applicants are denied? Some other things that we need. We need things like universal pre-K. You know, and maybe it's because I'm the only mom up here, but, you know, if we had more moms in the Senate, we'd have universal pre-K yesterday. There is $1.2 billion for Kentucky schools sitting on his desk right now. It's been sitting there for 6 months, all right? He's not interested in helping schools and public education.
Unless there's a need to respond, we'll move on. In 2018, a dozen of the top 50 poorest counties in the United States were in eastern Kentucky. And a UK student is asking, and here's the coal question, how will you address the losses left behind from the dwindling coal industry in a way that builds more sustainable and healthy communities? And we begin with Lieutenant Colonel McGrath.
Yeah. Recognize that 6 years ago, Senator McConnell sat here and said, you know, you got to vote for me, all your coal jobs are going to come back. Meanwhile, in the last 6 years, we've lost 60% of coal jobs. He has used you and our state to bicker with the other side, and he hasn't planned for the future. You know, coal powered this country. I want to go to the Senate to make sure that our coal communities get what's owed back to them for powering this country. And that means investment in the future. It means investment in infrastructure like broadband and cell phone coverage, because no business is going to want to come to a county in Kentucky that cannot talk to the modern world. It means investment back in education and in healthcare. And those are the types of things we have to do to rebuild for an economy of the future. And we have to. Senator McConnell hasn't done it. He's let the coal industry die with no plan for the last 36 years. And look at where we are right now. Look at where we are.
Senator McConnell.
Kentuckians are not confused about who launched the war on coal. At the beginning of the Obama administration, 50% of electricity in America was supplied by coal-fired generation. At the end of the Obama administration, 30%. It wreaked havoc all across coal country, and particularly in eastern Kentucky. We were then left to clean up the mess, the collateral damage from the war on coal. And so I did insured health care benefits and pension benefits for coal miners so they didn't lose what was almost wiped out by the administration, and retraining so they could get another job. Unfortunately, some of them have had to leave the area to do it, but they love eastern Kentucky so much they'll drive all the way up to the Toyota plant every day in order to attend to their new job. That's why we're in the situation we are in eastern Kentucky. And there's no mistake about who caused it.
Lieutenant Colonel McGrath, 30 seconds.
I think it just starts with being honest with people. I've always taught that, to be honest with people in the Marine Corps. You know, the decline of coal is a function of, renewable energy being cheaper. It's a function of automation. It's a function of fracking, which frankly, Senator McConnell pushed for. But the real thing is we've got to have a plan for the future. You know, and right now, the Reclaim Act, for example, is sitting on Senator McConnell's desk. This is an act that is bipartisan, was put up by Hal Rogers, would give $100 million to clean up Kentucky, put people with good quality union jobs to do that, the environmental hazards that we've seen from the industry here. And that's also introduced in the Senate by Senator Joe Manchin. Well, why is it sitting on McConnell's desk?
Time, Senator McConnell.
Well, let me ask you, what is that plan? What is the plan you've got that's going to produce jobs in eastern Kentucky? Lay it out for us right now.
Okay, well, what the Reclaim Act would do is it would provide $100 million to clean up the environmental hazards that we've seen from the coal industry for many years and allow people to clean up the environmental hazards with good quality jobs and a transition to the future. And the transition to the future has got to include infrastructure. We badly need it. We have water systems in Martin County, Senator, that don't have clean water. We have sewer systems in Anderson County that need to be fixed. And we have to get into the 21st century. Now, I know you've been in Washington, D.C. for 36 years, but I've served all around the world. And I got to tell you that no business is going to want to come to a county in Kentucky that cannot talk to the modern globalized world. That's broadband, that's cell phone coverage.
Everything she's talking about is already being done.
Well,
and,
tell them to the people in eastern
Kentucky. She's in the
Kentucky.
Marines about every other sentence. I think her entire campaign is, she's a Marine, she's a mom, and I've been there too long. What we need to see are specifically what she has in mind to fix the issues that she thinks need fixing. And I can tell you what she has in mind. She's going to go to Washington. She's going to make Chuck Schumer the majority leader. She's going to...
Senator, you've been there for 36 years. How's it looking, Kentucky? Have we fixed this stuff?
What that 36 years has produced in the last term alone, $17.5 billion for Kentucky, it would not have had she been there on the back bench, having made Chuck Schumer from New York the majority leader of the Senate.
So here's a very specific question. Kentucky, like many, many other states, has a real problem with drug addiction. We know that. And recent data shows it has actually increased since the pandemic started. How do we turn the tide on this horrible opioid crisis? We've made glancing reference to that earlier, but let's get a more detailed response. Senator McConnell, begin with you.
That's a really good question. It's been a devastating issue, not just for us, but around the world, around the country. What I've done is the 21st Century Cures Act in the last 2 years of Barack Obama, the CARES Act, after that, produced a total of $275 million for Kentucky. In that $275 million was the single largest grant in UK history, $87 million, the single biggest grant they've ever gotten. In addition to that, there are these law enforcement areas called HIDA, high-intensity drug trafficking areas. I've gotten a number of those for Kentucky, so that roughly half of our state is covered by this combination of law enforcement and social workers working together to go after these very, very intense drug trafficking areas. So we're still fighting the battle, not over yet, but my clout has made a huge difference in providing funds for Kentucky on this big problem.
Senator, thank you. Lieutenant Colonel McGrath.
Senator McConnell's clout has allowed billions of prescription medication pills to flood into Kentucky. Okay? The first thing that we need to do is hold Big Pharma accountable for that. He's incapable of doing that. He's incapable of doing it because he gets the most money from Big Pharma than any member of Congress last cycle, last year. That's why. He's basically bought off. But what we really need in addition is more resources for treatment and prevention, to include making sure that we don't take away the Affordable Care Act. Because what Senator McConnell would do was take that away, take away the Medicaid expansion, where 50% of our fellow Kentuckians who are addicted get their treatment through Medicaid. And he wants to undermine that. I don't. I want to fix the Affordable Care Act. I want to make health care easier to attain so that people can get the treatment and prevention and treatment that they need.
Time. Senator McConnell, nothing extra?
No, why don't we go on to the next topic?
All right, we will do that. Well, because you then have earned a few extra seconds here for a sort of a closing statement that you might want to make. This is our final moment tonight. Instead of the traditional speech at the end, we thought that we would head to our closing statement with this question. Senator McConnell, you often say and have said here tonight that your leadership position and seniority pay big dividends for Kentucky. Lieutenant Colonel McGrath, you have turned the senator's 36 years in Washington against him with much of what you have said tonight, saying that he is out of touch with Kentucky and out of ideas. Who is right? And we'll begin with Lieutenant Colonel McGrath.
Well, look, I don't think this race is about Mitch McConnell, and I don't think it's about Amy McGrath. I think it's about Kentucky. Kentucky deserves a senator who sees you, who listens to you, and who will serve you. Now, I joined the Marines a long time ago to serve my country, to make a difference for my country. And every single combat mission that I did, no matter how high I flew, no matter where I was, Afghanistan or Iraq, I never forgot who sent me there. I never forgot who it was I was serving. Senator McConnell stopped serving you a long time ago. I took an oath 6 times in my life to defend the Constitution of this country, to defend our country, okay? And to build a better America for American families and for my family, for my 3 young kids, Teddy, George, and Eleanor. I want to do the same. I want to be your senator because you deserve better. I ask for your vote. I want to remind everybody that early voting starts tomorrow. This is the most important election of our lifetime. It would be my privilege to serve you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Senator McConnell.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. My opponent seems not to be bothered by the fact that Joe Biden has been in Washington 47 years. He's been there 12 years before I got there. I think it's important not to be confused about what this election's about. Number one, if my opponent replaces me, her first vote in the Senate will be to make Chuck Schumer from New York the majority leader of the Senate, setting the agenda for the Senate, which will include changing the rules of the Senate to make it easier for liberals to win. Then they'll make the ultimate swamp, the District of Columbia, a state, giving influence peddlers and lobbyists 2 senators, just like Kentucky. And then they'll do that for Puerto Rico as well. That's 4 new liberal Democratic senators in perpetuity to guarantee they can get their outcome. And then the reason Joe Biden won't say whether or not he's going to attack the Supreme Court is because he is. That's exactly what they intend to do, so that the courts don't get in the way of any of their left-wing proposals. She will be a part of all of that. She will enable all of that. The single biggest vote you cast in the Senate is the first vote. who is going to determine the agenda. She will make Chuck Schumer the agenda setter.
All right, this is 2020, so surprise. We have 30 seconds left for each of you, and I want to give Lieutenant Colonel McGrath, you have an additional 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll cut you off hard here.
I would simply say to my fellow Americans, all you just heard, how's it working out for you right now? How's Kentucky looking? Are you better off than you were 6 years ago? Are you better off than you were 36 years ago?
Yes.
I mean, we have the leader of a Senate right now that is so dysfunctional and so partisan that even in the middle of a national crisis, they can't get things done for Kentucky. You want more of that? I don't. I want change. I know that our country is better than this.
Thank you, Senator McConnell.
It's not complicated. Do you want somebody from New York to be setting the agenda for America and not terribly interested in Kentucky? Or do you want to continue to have one of the 4 congressional leaders from our state,
Amen,
Kentucky, giving Kentucky an opportunity to punch above its weight, providing extra assistance for Kentucky? That's the question. She will transfer all of that to New York. I will keep it in Kentucky.
That's our time.
that's the
Thank you
answer.
very much. We appreciate you being here.
Well, sad to say for the young lady there, but here she is talking to a United States senator that's been a great senator, and she never had a kind thing to say about him, period. What a disgrace. I mean, he showed her respect and thanked her for her service, even though she has attacked him unmercifully with millions of dollars of lies about the senator. And I know the senator, and I was a Democrat for many years in Kentucky, most of my life. And it's ridiculous, the things that she's saying. But not to show any respect to him at all tells me she does not deserve to be in the United States Senate representing Kentucky. No way at all. Travels with John Stephenson. We hope you enjoyed watching the debate. It didn't change me one iota. Senator Mitch McConnell is the greatest senator that we've ever had, and I can say that honestly because I've known a lot of them in my 77 years. And he's exactly right. The last thing we need to do is give up that seat in the Senate. Hang in there with him and vote for Donald Trump and Mike Pence and stand behind Senator Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul and Congressman Thomas Massie.
The U.S.